Hashtag the smoke.
That is right. Hashtag Dirty South. If you're wondering what that one video was, that was my dad having fun at one of their kids' nights at church. They got him up there dancing. So on this Father's Day, a little tribute to my dad. If you get a chance, please watch our Monday show. We did record it today on Father's Day, so we had a little fun. And my sister calls him while we're on. I did not edit it out, so had a little fun with that. So I hope all the fathers out there had a great day today, great weekend. And I hope we all get treated right every day, but this is a special day for the fathers and the ones that are fathers to ones that might not be biological to them. So also a big shout out to those. They do it by choice, and that is awesome. So I hope everybody's doing great. We are 44 days away from the National. I think it's like 6-ish weeks or something like that. I was looking at work. I think I got to work like 5 weeks, maybe 6 weeks left of work, and then I'm on vacation. That's what I'm looking at. When I start counting down days, it's when my last day of work. I might work overtime that weekend. I don't know. Still love the Pops clip. Thank you, Sadler fan. Yeah, Carlisle, the photo is so that's just told ChatGPT, and I should have told him Graybeard to make it closer to me, but that's Eric. He is working. He's very busy right now. He might even be out with his father and family. They usually on the Father's Day, Mother's Day go out to their the farm and hang out there. It's a bigger location. They have the family. Is the Lazy Rivers crowd is a national? No, as you can see, there's nobody out there. I wonder if that had to use helium in that float. Yeah. Gated video. Thank you, Brian. Yeah, car. Michael is busy tonight. He sent me a message hoping because we have a friend group that that we chat in, and it's open to them, whoever wants to come in, and a few other people I send have an open invite. So just and I can run my mouth, and hopefully I have some things to talk. Carlos and the content gods have been nice to us here lately. I don't know. He runs on fumes all the time, Eric. That dude, he's a workaholic. He can go on 4, 5, 6 hours of sleep. I can't do that. So yes, every week for the past 2 years. That is very true, Gary. But man, I don't know what's in the water with some people right now. Questioning or I don't know, bad blood, and I don't know what's going on a little bit here and there. When I not really confront or question what somebody's saying, I want a little bit of clarity of what the subject matter is. If you hear my phone, that's my group chat talking about the trade that happened right before like 20 minutes. My dad calls me up and about the Devers trade, crazy trade, but Chapman hurt, and the Giants have room. They've missed out on like every big signing in the last few years, so they definitely have the money and enough area to sign him or have him on the roster, take on that contract. But yeah, so I feel like I think my video yesterday talking about certain things, answering. At Mangini had a great video earlier this week about words have meaning and stuff, and I just I really think in our hobby or anywhere, it's a lot of you know you it's all in the eye of the beholder, right? If I sit there and tell you a card is beautiful, you don't know what that descriptive means. That can mean a lot of things to different people. So when I use a word like oddball, is that for everybody? No, it doesn't. It doesn't have a category. It doesn't have anything. It's just an oddball to me. I think like Hires Root Beer. That's an oddball card in different ways. One, it's hard to get, and especially when it's all together, it looks weird. Just like the Squirt, they came on the bottles with the two cards. With for me, it was Gary Carter and Fisk, and it's got the punch out hole that went on the drink bottle. To me, that's an oddball card. It's just not something you see all the time, and it has different meanings and different ways of doing it. Yeah, Sadler, that's it. Oddball people. I mean, he brought it. He with the rare and what was the thing he's talked about was quantity versus quality. That definition. Again, it has to be defined and it's different for everybody. So that's it. The vintage modern only fellers are insane. Yeah, I think we're all a little insane, Eric. We spend money for little bits of cardboard. We even get it encapsulated in plastic and cherish them like it's the last thing on earth. So we're all a little insane. If somebody was looking on the outside in. So, and also, Eric, what's going on with our Mets, man? Had 3 good series, and then the Rays come to town, and who started the oddball debacle? I haven't heard anyone talking about odd. Mangini made a video, and him and Rick has always talked. Oddly enough, Rick is one too. They don't like the term oddball, and because they're all cards. What determines oddball? And he went through a bunch of different cards, and and he said, if you don't want to leave a message below, make a video. So I did on Saturday addressing what an oddball card is. It's an oddity. It's something that's to that person, non-mainstream, but to somebody else, it might be a mainstream card. I feel like Hostess cupcake cards to me are kind of oddballish. You had to get them off the bottom of the thing. I can get them in 2 seconds because I finish all the cupcakes really quick. So I can get them quick, but I had to take the time to cut them and all of that. Yeah, yeah, Carlisle. And to me, I don't think it's a derogatory term. I mean, who cares? I mean, really, at the end of the day, there's terms that we all really don't like or dislike, and I'll get more into that here in a minute. But yeah, I love things like that make me think, and that's what he was trying to do. And I try to do the same thing in some of my videos and how we go about things and why we go about things. So, if I'm sitting there looking at a card and he was bringing up like Double D loves, centering and other people don't. Well, how much centering is okay and all that? That's different to everybody. For me, I determine what oddball is. For you, you determine it. For some reason in this hobby, everyone feels their truth is the truth. And that's Gary, that's almost. I think that's the Giants take the lead. Nice. I feel like that is way the community is right. I've said it for a long time now that when somebody tells me the hobby is dead or eBay dead or whatever, that's a personal journey you're on. Like it's dead to you. I feel like when you tell me it's dead or something like that, we're definitely in two different areas of the hobby. Um, we're going to go in a few weeks, and we'll definitely see. And Gary, you were at Strongsville. It seemed like that's a growing card show. Philly's growing. These local, and I've talked about it before. Tops Black was dead. I always believe that everyone is entitled to my opinion. Yeah, Carlisle, that's for sure. I think, and I love but what I would like is so if I say, oh, it's an oddball card, I now from now on, because now this is a thing, I'm going to go further on why I think it's an oddball card. And you can disagree or agree with me. That's what's great about this hobby. Eric, you mean, wait a minute, Eric, somebody might clip that and really that'll be a bad day for you. So watch how you're saying that. So please, this is not wrong place. I enjoyed the heck out of Strongsville, and I'm not a vintage guy. Right. And I mean, I'm not strictly vintage. I've talked about it before. I love baseball. I love cards, right? But there are parts of vintage I really do like. I love modern. I love cards, right? My friend, my friend at work, he's actually my supervisor. So when I get his cards back, everybody better like them. To someone who started collecting in 2020, that might feel dead. Yeah. I don't know, Zach. I don't know it depends on what they got in it for or what is dead to them. I know people, complained where the prices of, we all started complaining when prices of boxes went up, right? Or you couldn't find them. And right. And then it became where you couldn't buy a box and flip them. Get them graded for $10, flip the rookies for 40, 45 when you get your 10s and whatever other cards you got in there and triple your money. And those days came and went pretty fast. And I think to some people like that it is dead because you can't do that anymore. But to some other people that got into it, they might want the nostalgia of when they were kids or whatever. So, or actually, whatever reason they got into it. I think a lot of people during COVID got into it just because they were bored. They knew people were making money. Why not make some passive money? Which there's a grind to this if you want to make money. I just trying to get rid of stuff. So, but I opened I opened some. My first Bowman today because it was there. It was the only thing there at the Walmart today when I was picking up some cleaning stuff. So it was all right. I did pick up a Acuna rookie, so out of that box, so I was happy. Yeah. So going on with this and what what I put up today. I don't like to turn up junk wax. I've used it in the past, but now the more I've thought of it, me and Eric has had that discussion at the National 4 years ago, maybe. Me and him, and he kept telling me we're not, and I agree. I agree now. I take it back. There's aspects of it that make you feel that way, but when you get me and Brad, because Brad got me fired up a few weeks or months ago about this. Yeah, right. You're exactly right. So when it comes to I'm gonna stick with what I feel comfortable with, and that's baseball. So when you get flagship baseball, I think most people now people might collect a set or put it together or team sets or whatever. But I think people now are collecting more of the colors, right? Or the black borders like Eric loves, or I'm player collecting, and so I'm going to try to get as many of the different color and variants that I can. Uh, I think that's what more people are looking for. The rest is just filler, right? And they do with whatever they were going to do with it. Uh, so that's where it's different, right? Uh, for me. And also, we're now, they're down to like 50, 55 sets, whatever. But when you talk to Tops and the way their contract runs, a lot of those sets are the same sets. It's just a variant of that set. So when they do a Sapphire, it's not a separate set, it's a variant set. So it's all on how it's worded legally. But in there, they had a separate checklist for that. I agree. It also does not help when Fanatics kills and it adds new parallels. Yeah, and I think they're trying to be too cute and use some of the Panini stuff and making 40 variants with, holiday, like where's the one I pulled yesterday? Like this variant here, the holiday for series 2. Yeah. So I pulled a couple of those out. We could do without those, right? What's up, Ziggy? Uh, so, I feel like with Fanatics and that the junk wax, it's a little different, right? Panini, all that's a little different. But also, the reason why I talk about junk wax is the technology in how the junk wax area push the hobby, right? We got chromium, we got laser cut, oh my gosh, we got all. That's when the autograph on cards, memorabilia cards, numbered cards, all that. Like it or not, that's when black, gold, and rainbow foil are the only 3 parallels that remain from 2015. Okay, so I feel like without that junk wax, and junk wax is not really junk because of grading. Now we have that artificial number some people like to call on the top of the flip. Make some of the cards more valuable, I guess, or more want to go after a little bit to get a 10, because a lot of cards then were manufactured in a hurry, cut, they didn't really really have the quality control like they try to do now. So, and the reason I'm talking about this is because I watched another good video this weekend. I think you're called Spitballing Cards. I think first time it came up on my page, I watched it because of this title of it. Are we in a junk wax era? And it had Scott, which I've seen him, but first time I've really listened to him. Another fella I really didn't know who. First time I ever saw him. Teapot, which I was shocked. He actually made a little bit of sense. Then he let me down at another part. And then friend of the channel and our favorite flipper of all times is what's that, Slabbing and Spitball or something? Yeah, I think maybe it's both of that. I can't remember. And Filmerton was on there, and Filmerton really made sense. And they're talking about junk wax era, and it kept. This is what drives me crazy now. Is like some people use the term collector, but then start going on about value and sales prices and how it's going to hold price. I find that interesting. I don't know if you do that, that collector term still fits. But uh, they're talking about short term and long term and all that. It's easy. They're in short term. Fanatics wants to make as much money today, because if it all falls apart tomorrow, they're making money today. Don't worry about next year. And if they keep making it, we're going to keep buying it. There is going to be a core group that the hobby will never die. And that's going to be a large core group. Yeah, that's I ought to make that show, Barry. You can come on there with me. But yes, and the other curiosity with that going on, and they were talking about like junk slabs and stuff like that, which, if you want to use that terminology, I feel like there is modern oddball, Ziggy. I think very so. If you think there's one, then there is, right? To you. But yeah, I think there is. I think, whatever, I don't know what it is right now, right off the top of my head, but I'm sure there is. Somebody think there's oddball cards out there. I wish I would have had one of the oddball cards that I thought was oddball too, that I sent in for my Gary Carter today to PSA. So one was a Dodgers card and one was an Expos card. They were both team issued. One was out of a program, and the other one, I don't know if that one was team issued, but I forget how you got that. I think it was like at a grocery store or something in Montreal. But I think when it comes to junk wax, I think there's a lot of innovation there that we are blessed to have. And we're not having that innovation right now. To me, we are having the cards now. I mean, we might as well go back to the 80s. We're really not having too much. I don't know what to do with them, right? That's not my job. But this year's not too bad. I really do like the Bowman first cards this year. I think they're a little bit nicer. With how it's made this year, I just feel like, that I think that's a nice card, very nice. And I think the cards are nice, but it's not very innovative. Scott, I have a video coming out tomorrow I shot a couple of days ago. In my opinion, it's all about oddball as it gets. That's funny, Gary. But I mean, you can take it back to the 50s, right? It was a race who was going to go from portrait painting to live, actual pictures on the card. Bowman and Topps and all that, beautiful cards, but they were having innovation because they were battling with each other. Who can Bowman had the TV cards. They were coming up with having ideas, making playing cards. All of that was just trying to push the hobby forward, to get people to buy their product. And we don't have that right now with this monopoly going on. We just don't. It's the same regurgitation every year. And Eric, I'm not picking on you, but if it doesn't have the same border, the black border, we get upset. So they just keep regurgitating, churning out. Am I mad? No, because the cards to me are still beautiful. But I do wish there was a little bit more innovation, more than just doing, the same thing over and over again. And we got so used to the releases coming out at certain times. This year, we were all like, well, where's this release? Where's this release? Where's this release? And Fanatics is changing it up a little bit. So Mr. Fisherbike is in our group, and he is just losing it right now with the Devers trade. So just to let y'all know. uh, but yeah, I feel like I'm most food stuff to me is an oddball, especially if it's a local food or which are hard to get because licensing and stuff, which sucks. Um, I miss more and more of the food stuff. It was always a good way to get some different items. What an '87 Topps throwback isn't innovative. No, it's not. And using it then also in like archives and then doing an insert set in, somewhere else with it. And then, and they also talked about autos where we're having this age of junk autos. I don't really feel that way. It's used as a chase. Yes, we have people that you might not, but if you're a team collector, you might want some of those autos, right? Of lesser known players or whatever, or players not in their prime and stuff like that. Like, I collect Mets autos as much as I possibly can. Last year at Cleveland, there was a guy that had a ton of in-person autos over by the autograph, and I tried to get as much as I could from him. My favorite Braves team set is an oddball issue 54 Johnston cookies. They're tall and narrow, badass Aaron rookie. However, yeah. I feel the same way with that set, and it's not because it's not Topps or whatever. I just feel like it's just not a well-known card, right? I at one time, like Drake was maybe oddball back in the day because where I'm at in my part of the country, we didn't have Drake, right? But now that card has gotten everywhere, so we know more and more about it. It's not as oddball as it once was, right? So, like the Burger Chef cards and stuff like that. If you didn't have Burger Chef or 7-Elevens or, Ices that had the cups, I still remember the old, like, actual cups that had the player cups back in the day. That Chris Chambliss one is just with the Yankees, just sits right there in my head, and I don't know if you call that oddball because I grew up with that type of stuff, but I'm sure people do. I mean, how oddball is it to get ice cream in a helmet at a baseball game? Right? So yeah, I feel like terms are very personal, and it's no way to get descriptive terms like that to be taken by everyone. Now, RPA or rookie card logo, rookie year, everybody knows what those terms mean. All-star. There was a time where people confused, and they might still do. I think people have gotten bad with calling swatches, not calling them patches as much. I think people have gotten better with that as more as we get them. Getting IP autos are the best. Bought 140 autos from OKC Thunder season ticket holder. Yeah. So I bought at Cleveland. Oh man, his name's slipping me. Right before he went, he was trying to raise some money for Cleveland. I bought some stuff from him. He delivered to me at Cleveland, and I paid him. And then I found that guy on Sunday at Cleveland while I was waiting to get autographs, a couple autographs of USA soccer team, women's soccer, that I hit that table. And once I found that table, man, I was just nice. Also, for you Mets fans out there, I know it's me and Eric in here. Dwight Gooden is going to be a VIP freebie this year. So on Sunday at 2:00, I think is what it is right now. So that'll be nice. It's more cost effective to buy 4 jerseys. All right, Giants put some more. Oh, they didn't score. Sorry. I don't know how many other people, but I've had terrible this allergy season. My eyes, I've never had itchy eyes like I have had this year. It's been I called into work one day because I woke up and I couldn't see. It was so bad. I hope everybody else doesn't have that. This has been a bad year for me and my allergies. Anybody else got something to talk about tonight? I have a couple of things else, but the one thing, so I did pull up the map for the National this year. Let me see if I can present it. So what I kind of wanted to point out is like they do have like 2 main areas for where everything's going to be at, right? PSA's right in the middle. And as you can see, I don't know what the secondary PSA table's for, but as you can see, there's no SGC anywhere. Bobbles, if you missed his video this week, talking about them, and I talked about this yesterday as well, and I kind of wanted to go back over it again. And this is the upstairs. So I'm still confused where this is at, and this is the tables that are upstairs, I guess. I can't figure out where exactly this is, but soon enough we'll all know. But I just wanted to show the layout. It looks like it's a little bit more organized this year. This is the old section going through where they used to do autographs. So this is the old section here, autographs, and then the new section. So it's about the same way it was last year, but it just looks like it's set up maybe a little bit better. I just want to know where the air conditioner is working. That's all I want. But I'm trying to figure out if this is the elevator in the middle of the lobby or the elevator in the back or I can't figure that out. But anyway, that I just want to show that. And then interesting that SGC is not the back edge relative to centralized PSA. Well, so they announced SGC would no longer be doing shows. I went to their page to look at their new pricing. It's very similar to PSA's pricing. They're not giving bulk deals right now, which they really don't with PSA. I appreciate you answering my question. Oh, no problem, Ziggy. I mean, that was a good question. Yeah, I mean, I do feel like there's oddball cards now. So I think the last thing I got was like Walmart Marketplace in pizza boxes. I never bought so many Walmart pizzas in my life. But, I had fun doing it and had Walmart pizzas. They had. So SGC, it really looks like they're going to be totally PSA before too long. It doesn't. I don't know. I said it at the beginning. When a company buys out another company, I watched Carlos's video. Made sense. But the bottom line is the bottom line. If they can save enough money to offset not having those cards coming in by only having one company, that's what makes sense. That's all they care about. They're doing over 1 million cards a month. PSA is. So whatever they lose from SGC people not subbing with PSA because it's PSA, I don't think they care. I mean, they probably have the worst customer service. I wish CGC somehow, this is their chance. This is their chance. They have the best prices, the best plastic, the best flip. And I don't know what we have to do as a community to have respect for them. And I think they're the best graders. I think CGC came in, they effed up by not having the right grading system to begin with. And then they messed up by keep changing the flip and how they do it. Sucks. I'm not a PSA hater, but I like SGC. Zach, I just like having choices. And when you take away choices, Beckett is just tail spinning. But they still have a pretty large group that seems like is very connected to them still from the past. And who knows how many lost with SGC only graders actually sticking to their values and stop grading to not support collectors. Yeah, I think I know what you mean there, but I am not one that feels like they are protecting counts and all that. I don't see what the purpose is for that. Yeah, Zach. No, I want to pump a reason for people to have another place to go, right? If Arena or Tag, for heaven's sake, showed some credibility, I'd be talking about them as well. But we know CGC has some pedigree, right? We know that they know what they're doing. They, like I said, I love CGC's plastic. I love their flip. Are they perfect? Hell no. Nobody's perfect. But PSA has forgotten what got them there, and NASCAR's feeling that same pain now. And one day, I don't know when, but what goes up must come down. And I feel like PSA, might not be in my lifetime, but they're gonna feel it. And I said it before when everybody was like, "Oh, the people that bought them, they're collectors too." I was like, "Man, save that noise," because yeah, they're collectors, but not like us. They're not like us. You might feel like you bought a big boy card. They're buying the big boys. They're buying the stuff we're buying what falls out of their pockets. We're not buying what they're buying. They can care less that Scott here has, almost 2,000 Pete Alonsos. That's not what they do. CGC is just Beckett 2.0. It seems to me that the best guys left Beckett to work for someone else like they used to work at Beckett before the Yes, and I agree with that. But CGC changed their from Beckett grading to actually SGC's grading because they have a 9.5. They do have an 11, which is the 10 gold. And I think they're very affordable. I just feel like for some reason in this card community, and we went with this with SGC, they're still a redhead chip. When it comes to reselling, if it's not PSA, I'll put stuff with SGC or CGC and I hike the prices up and I'm just patient and I get low. I mean, when I'm talking low ball, it almost makes me want to take off or best offer because they think I don't know where people think because it's in a CGC holder makes the card not what the card is. Why a 10 in CGC all of a sudden is a 4, right? Corners missing and all this stuff. I don't understand it. And I don't know why people think that way. If it's a CGC 10, I'm gonna treat it when I go to buy it and it's closer to a PSA price, I can understand that. But I also go looking for CGC cards. They are collectors. They collect money. Super collect Franklin's. And yeah, I've said that. I've used that term a lot. How you doing tonight? Hey, Wesker Griff, watch what you say to me. I'll have my white knights come after you. People forget that Beckett was not only number 2, but the modern expert for. Yeah, at 100%. 100%. I mean, a lot of the young kids really liked them. And I mean, they had a name already in the company, in the hobby, so people were comfortable with them. And I just feel like when PSA went with the registry and people started, when you make a game out of it and competition and all of that, and you have cheap slabs, not as in cheap feeling, but they at a cheap price you can get stuff slabbed. Got people in their corner, and then a lot of people like to have all their stuff look the same. They don't like the Frankenstein slabs. I don't care. I have slabs from Mint. What's the other Canadian company? I have slabs from that company. I have it from the guy in the basement in Florida. Only thing, I don't have Arena. I don't have Tag. I have busted out some generic one that I never heard of before that had the Gary Carter pre-rookie from 75 with the TCMA card, I think. Is that what it is? I think. And they had it at a 10. It came back at 8. That's exactly right, Ziggy. That's what they do. And I mean, me and Ed Wesker Griff talked about this earlier in the week. Tag made a thing to sell to PSA. PSA didn't need it. They already had their own system going. And if y'all don't, CGC now, you don't even have to. Now you just tell them the total amount of your cards. You send them in, and you don't even have to list them anymore. When they told me that's worth the price of admission for me. When I do bulk for 4 or 5 of my friends, people don't know Beckett was just as big or bigger than PSA. I think they were bigger. I think at one time they were the company. PSA had to come back. I think it's hilarious that every grader has to use 3 initials. Yeah. Yeah. Mint doesn't. Mint. Yeah. And I'm not a PSA hater. I just think they're very much, and don't get me wrong, I don't hate any business that's trying to make as much money as they could possibly can. But when I feel like people are just getting stuff graded because they could say I got PSA graded, and they can puff their chest out because they got PSA. Scott just tells CGC he wants influencer grades. Yeah. I don't send. Well, see, even CGC, at one point, I used to send sports cards, right? I thought would always be in my PC. But then I'm like, well, I don't want these cards anymore. So I move on from them. And I'm selling them for pennies on the dollar compared to other cards. And I'm like, well, I can't do this anymore. So I was getting those in my PC and SGC and my non-sports and CGC, because even though the TCG community is not happy with CGC as well, they still have respect in the non-sport community. Tag is a joke company. People need to stop mentioning them. I'll mention them if I want, and I swear I will send. Don't make me. Don't make me. I know you're sitting there giggling like a little schoolgirl, but don't make me send my white knights. Wesker Griff called me old man gamer this week, just to let y'all know, which I am. That's kind of one of my monikers too. And I use the big word, moniker. I'm sorry, trying to look at scores and everything else going on. Whew. But can you spell it? No, I cannot. No, it starts with an M and ends with a But yeah, that whole this whole announcement at SGC. Once I heard that they were building or possibly just taking over to SGC or moving in with them, I was like, well, that's the beginning of the end, honestly. And then when they start taking longer and longer, damn, they just tied it up. When it took longer and longer times, they're getting closer and closer to that 65 days. They're not that close, probably closer to 45 days to 50. I'm like, yeah. And then now the price hike and not doing bulk, I feel their SGC is numbered. What's with all the CGC authentic only cards on Fanatics Collect? No numerical grades on the flips. Because they have an agreement with PWCC. So before Fanatics bought PWCC, they already had an agreement with CGC. So once that agreement is over, you won't see that anymore. You'll see PSA most likely. That's what you'll see. And CGC will have to find somebody else because you right now with PWCC you can like get those cards and then send them into CGC, or you can send them into CGC and you can get them sent to what used to be PWCC. Now it's Fanatics. So yeah, that's the reason why. And since everybody with the trimming and all that stuff, that's there to show people these have been authenticated, not tampered with, raw cards. You can't do nothing about the already graded, but yeah, with the raw cards. So even if it's not graded, they get it they do authentication. And I'm sure once that, however long that deal's up, it'll be PSA. And they can sit there and tell me all they want. It's Collectors is a separate company. All that they bought PSA. They wanted to buy other stuff, so they made a parent company of Collectors, and that's all it is. It's them and Fanatics. Well, I take that back. It's the Fanatics. Why am I saying Fanatics and PSA? Fanatics doesn't want to deal with PSA. That's a direct competitor. So I'm sorry, I got my wires crossed. So Fanatics and CGC are working together because Fanatics hasn't hidden the fact they wanted a grading company. And I think the reason why PSA bought SGC was to block that. I really do. Because Fanatics has the money and that scares PSA. Fanatics could come in and bully just like they did with the cards. They could come in and bully a little bit if they wanted to. I think they got, the people that run PSA are crazy. The people with Fanatics are out of this world money. Corporate America going to corporate America. The writing is on the wall for SGC and it's looking more clear. But not even I thought they would start this process so soon. I thought it would have started sooner. To be honest, I even talked about it when it first happened. Why wait around? But the only reason they're trying, I think they're doing it in little increments to get as much business over. And I know you said you think they'll have a crossover deal. I don't think so. There's no reason because people still respect SGC. So what's the point of flipping your cards over to PSA? There's really no point for $15. I mean, other than if you just want PSA at that time, grading is F. There's no competition to PSA. Well, money wise, you're right. On a resale market, secondary market, whatever the reasoning is, and you can come up, and every reasoning you have is correct because people for all those reasons, PSA is the king of the grading market right now. It just is. People will line up for hours at the PSA booth, give them $250 to put a $5 slab on it with a 50-cent sticker in the top, and at the show, and that's it. People would flip if they could cross over with guarantee the grade wouldn't go down. I think there will be battery. I don't say nobody will. I do think they will. Some will, but I don't know if enough will to make it worth its while. Right? I mean, in PSA, they're doing over 1 million cards a month. What is the reasoning for PSA to even do that? What would be the only way that you would win customers from SGC? Because Carlos is exactly right. You have to think the bulk of people that do SGC is because it's not PSA. So what would make those people? I think those people will probably end up in Beckett. I really do, because Beckett still has a name. For whatever reason, I think this is going to be but we'll watch how Beckett screws this up, like they've done everything else they've screwed up. Crossing over is guaranteed revenue for the company, plus most won't require to be regraded. Less work, more money. Is it less work though, Ed? You have to crack it out without messing it up. Then you have to reholder it on a machine that's already being used for grading holdering. I don't think it takes time to do that. You have to pay somebody. So if you tell me that you're sitting there telling me that $15, like you talked about earlier, I didn't want to type all this out in the discussion. I said I'll just talk about it this weekend. So if you talk about $15 reslabs, right? Time is money. That machine is money. I have to deal with that all the time at work. People, we had to rework something. It's basically free. We were losing money because paying me per hour. Now, what the cost was to begin with, now we're talking about redoing stuff. That machine costs money. That area costs money. You still got to pay the people to do it. So there's a reason why they do it at $20-some and not 15 now. If 15 is the price, then 15 should be the price. Whereas Collectivus, for the rest of us, I guarantee crossover wouldn't require graders. It's just a mechanical process. Yeah, I don't think it would take graders, but it's still going to take somebody to crack it, reslab it, use a machine that's already backed up. So now you're going to have this onslaught of 1 million cards every day coming in. Tractor trailers full of cards to get them reslabbed. I just think people will start selling their SGC, but I still think I don't. We got somebody want to jump in. Let me finish my thought, Michael, and I'm sure you got a thought. I really think that reslab and SGC will still have a name in the market. Just because the door shuts and they put the close sign up or PSAs on the front banner, all of a sudden stops SGC from their people looking at, the SGC is worthless. Oh, we got Ed here now too. Sheesh. All right. So that's my thought. That's my opinion. Right, wrong, right. We'll see how it plays out. But Mike, go ahead. You were first in here.
I just wanted to provide some company for my good friend Scott. I mean,
thank you. I know Ed's got something to say.
But no, yeah, I mean, I've listened to some of what you've had to say. So I just, obviously I'm someone who's not happy with any of these developments ever since the day this started to unfold, because I think it's horrendous for the hobby. Less competition, obviously less choices, and quite frankly, I mean, I hear what you're saying with the money, but I still think they'd be absolute fools to not continue with SGC because I mean, people keep talking about the value. The value is obviously great for the bullshit cards, like the worthless cards. Obviously, is accelerated by the PSA label, but when you check the list of the most expensive cards of all time, it's still um, lends you a lot of SGC stuff, and the reason for that is because a lot of the people with
This is what I've been
big
saying.
pockets and stuff, and a lot of people who collect the vintage and the pre-war, like SGC goes away. There's no true home for pre-war. Yes, PSA does it. Yes, that will de facto become the number one thing because SGC is or CGC, obviously well known for the trading card gaming bull stuff, whatever it's called, all that non-sport stuff. Obviously, hasn't made a lot of progress with sports. It's made no progress with vintage and absolutely no progress with pre-war stuff. So, but you know, we'll see what happens. Either way, it's unlikely to be a good thing.
Completely agree, Mike. All stuff that we've all been talking about, and I think we're all on the same page there. Scott,
And I do think just one other thing. It would be desperate times if they do a reslab deal because the problem is anytime they unholder a card because it ends up in someone's hands and all that type of stuff, like it does technically need to be regraded. And that's the same thing with crossovers or reslabs. It doesn't happen often, but every now and then if they damage the card, like they need to lower the grade by 2 grades. In the case of PSA or SGC, I don't think I've ever actually had it happen with SGC, but I've had it happen with PSA where they call up and they're like, we're sorry, we butchered this card. This is what we can offer you. And they'll offer you some kind of compensation of some kind, but they technically need to regrade the card when it's removed from the holder.
Changing the holder. I just feel like SGC's got such a big name that they don't need to do that. And I don't think a lot of people would take advantage of that.
I mean,
I think
obviously some people will, but it depends. If they made it $4,
some people will.
They're going to get 10 million cards.
Right. They're going to need truckloads again. And I really feel like I do think PSA has slowly been taking over the vintage market and pre-war. When I go to shows, I see a lot of PSA and vintage. I just think PSA has taken over every.
Well, yeah, they've always had a lot with because of the set registry and stuff, but
right. So I mean, you know that's, and I echo your words that all of this sucks because I love choices, even bad choices. Right.
I mean, that's what's a shame, and I know you did touch on it. It's a shame that CGC, you know, fumbled it right out of the gate when they had a chance to really make a great impression during the great boom of 2020 when everyone in the world was slabbing anything that was a card, no matter what.
Right.
And
even GMA was profitable during the boom.
And they butchered it with picking a lousy scale, a scale that was out of date, that was not even popular or liked by the majority of people. And then, you know, you say what you want about the label, that didn't help, the green label. Because it was so divisive, and you know, it's just that's where we've gone.
Yeah, and they really fumbled the ball, and then you know they've done everything, low prices, you know, try to get good cards in. They go to all the shows, they're on social media, they do all the right things. But
having a separate checking account to send out to some of Ed's friends, like all kinds of things.
But you know, until the masses don't care because their cards don't resell. It's just that easy. It's just,
and that is a massive factor. It's the money factor because that's why PSA. That's what's escalated PSA. The main thing is the brand name, but it's not so much how well they grade. It's it's just that money factor because if you really don't care at all about the money, then you would get your Caitlin Clarks. You just get them slabbed by
Right.
GMA or some fake thing. But then again, do you care about the grading? If you really just care about the honest to goodness grade and the nice slab, then why wouldn't you just send it to CGC?
Exactly.
In many cases, it's because you're looking at the dollar signs.
So I mean, when at the end of the day, right, and you have a 10 from CGC, why do people look at that and go, it's in a CGC holder, so it's worth 1/3 of what a PSA card is? Same card as a 10. What makes people think that way?
Everyone's money driven. It's like the same way. This is what I get. Like, and I get it with common cards. You have very common cards. The market, the comps. When you get the rare cards, the comps don't mean shit. You know what I've told a few people on eBay for something like I'm not willing to move? They'll say this. I said, no, that was a missed opportunity. 6 months ago, you could have gotten it for that. You should have pulled the trigger. Tough.
Right.
That's the last price, pal. Raise it up.
Gangster.
And honest to goodness, I do the same thing with buying stuff. When I'm looking at pre-war stuff, if it's something really rare, I look at it. I'm like, damn, this card's like $1,000 right now, and it was only $350 the last time it sold. And then I go, well, it last sold in 2011, unfortunately, 14 years ago, and there's a population of 3. Right now is the current price, and the next time it sells, it'll be higher. But if you have something where there's, they're a dime a dozen, if it's a Gavin Lux card, well, the comps don't matter in that either, because if you're paying more than $2, you're being foolish because, there's 5,000 of them out there in the pop report.
I think
probably how many Gavin Lux collectors do you think there are? Like 3?
And they're probably all last name have a Lux.
It's a good chance.
I think one of the things that we're missing with CGC in particular, in regards to sports cards, though, is they don't have a built-in fan base yet. If you remember, during the pandemic, let's be real, the overwhelming majority of people that were sending cards there were resellers and flippers because their rates were the lowest they were.
Yeah, and
they had the lowest rate to get cards slabbed. I mean, It was bottom dollar to get your card slabbed by CGC. What was it, like $6, $7?
Something like that. I mean, it ain't much more than that now, I'll tell you the truth.
It was stupidly cheap. So a lot of people on eBay, a lot of dealers at shows, they were flooding out to get cards graded because the demand for graded cards were so high. Meanwhile, CGC was a new player in sports cards, whereas you could say whatever you want about Beckett. They had, I guess, a built-in fan base. PSA has their built-in fan base, and so does SGC.
Yeah.
So, I mean, there's a whole bunch of variables out there, but that's one thing.
I'm the only built-in fan base for CGC, and it's not going to get too far. So,
I mean, you guys will get on me for my CGC bashing. I do like CGC. I buy their slabs. I've been trying to get a Caitlin Clark Prism SGC because in a 10, it's $150 cheaper than the fucking PSA slab. So, I mean, I'm not going to pay $150.
Right, which makes no sense to me because of the plastic. It makes no sense to me, but that's the way it is.
I completely trust their grading. I think they're a good company. It's just that I think they're incompetent on how they run their business when they first came on. They just made
another thing they did beyond just the grading scale and the slabbing was the whole structure. The system to submit cards was a pain in the ass. The fact that they charged like a fee, a membership, it wasn't a membership fee. It was like a handling fee for every order, like $5. Like, you're just stealing money, you sons of bitches. Like,
why add another $5?
The fact that they forced you, like, if you sent an autograph card, you were forced into the autograph grade. You couldn't opt out of it. It was like an extra $2 or something stupid. Like, a lot of dumb shit like that they were doing. That, like, they were just trying to grab money, and I'm sure they grabbed some extra money, but they hurt their potential loyalty, like, which is probably the most, like, obviously you need to keep the doors open, so you need to generate income, but early on as a company, like, you're really the most valuable thing is building loyalty, building trust, building a brand.
Yeah, and I mean,
they got hurt that way because a lot of resellers and a lot of dealers, a lot of flippers, whatever noun you want to use,
Said this
bought
stuff shit.
you sent them stuff, and they got those. They sent like, I mean, we were seeing on YouTube here people getting like 500 card orders from CGC. Like they were getting flooded for people to resell cards, and they get all those cards back, and they can't even sell them for $5 a slab, even in a 10. So that's not going to build loyalty.
Yeah, and the bottom line is the resale. And I mean, and there is a large group of people out here that they think CGC is some one person in the basement type of thing. I think.
No, they're a corporation.
Yeah, I know they are, but I mean, there's a group out here that thinks PSA is the end all be all. The Omega, everything, Alpha and Omega, they're everything. So it's just it's sad, and again, I just want choices. That's all I want.
They're not necessarily loyal to PSA though, Scott. Let's be real. They're loyal to the money.
Yes, and that's the reason.
That's why. That's what's inspiring the loyalty.
Right. I mean, but however the reason is for loyalty, it is still loyalty. If it's fear, if it's you got something there, there's people are not just loyal for shits and giggles. They're usually looking for what comes out for them. So,
I mean, that's why you saw that's why a lot of people get very territorial over when you discuss grading, or I call it the brand defending. You get all the people that raise their shields for the brand defending because they're like, oh great, if my cabinet of cards that are PSA slabs goes tits over, I'm screwed.
Well, see, I've always not liked how people are like, oh, PSA is like, all the Target or Walmart of the, and then the next one is such and such, and then the next one is like Dollar General. And then all of a sudden you're like, oh, you made it cheap all of a sudden. People use these and they're not equal. Like Beckett actually, as much as I don't like the plastic, it's a high quality plastic, right? But
I don't know. I think it could be clearer. I wish you could see through those slabs. I feel like you're trying to look through plexiglass that's been scuffed up sometimes. But that's just me.
Carlos trying to get some rage bait going on.
Yeah, fellas, I know. I appreciate y'all jumping on. I appreciate everybody in the chat.
Hold on though.
Yeah,
wait,
go ahead.
We're only on the hour 8. We can go a little longer. I want to say real quick, the original reason I jumped on late, the whole SGC crossover thing. I think that is a viable thing that they might do in the future. PSA, I'm talking about, and I've mentioned it to you guys in our group chat, but I've also talked about it a little bit on here a couple times. But I do think eventually that might be their end game for SGC, is to offer a lengthy crossover period. It's not going to be a 6-month thing. It's not going to be a year thing. It might be a couple years where they're just going to offer this extended crossover period where you can send in your SGC slab and it will automatically cross over grade-wise into a PSA slab. And it will be based on a monetary thing. Obviously, if
the more you pay, the more likely you are to get it back within 5 calendar years.
If you're sending in a very
$25 return shipping for one card.
If you're sending in a very expensive card, obviously they're going to regrade it or they're going to review it. But I think if it's under a certain threshold, it's just going to automatically transfer over. That way you don't have to pay anyone to grade the card. And then you just give it.
But you still it's still going to have to be people doing it. But
yeah, you're going to have to have.
And then the fun part for us is
is it really that hard, Ed, when they're paying guys $8 an hour and giving them some stale, tasty cakes in the break room?
I'm not saying that they're obviously going to make a shit ton of mistakes, but hey, it's corporate America. It's PSA. They don't give a fuck.
And the fun part for us is to see what actually happens. We're gonna hate it because it's taking away a player. But let's see what happens and go on from there. Is the hobby going to not go on? That's no.
But my point is, for them doing this, it's going to generate instant revenue for them, because just think of all the millions and millions of SGC slabs out there.
Yeah, I just feel like it's heartbreaking because we all knew it was going to probably come. It's coming. It's here. They might as well just do it. Rip the Band-Aid off and do it. But
I think the PR of how it'll be spun to collectors will be, you've asked for it, but we finally are giving you a universal registry, a more refined registry. And I think it'll be kind of be spun like that a little bit, but we'll see. I feel like they're speeding up this process a lot faster than I initially thought they would. Because when this whole acquisition news first broke, you guys know, I was dooming. People thought I had a very negative take on it for SGC and what was going to happen to them. But not even I thought this process would be this spun up this quickly. To be pulling out of all card shows, to have a facility being built next door to your main hub, with obviously what Bobbles was saying with the scale back in the group subs. The picture is becoming more clear. They're really speeding this process up, it looks like.
And we can see it at shows. The Chantilly last year in the fall show, they were side by side. I went to Philly this year, they were side by side, kind of working congruently together, doing stuff. Now they're not going to be there at all. That's very telling. You all rue the day that years from now, SGC is still around as a single desk at PSA HQ, so you can have your tucks as fast as Larry can encapsulate them.
There is a chance they could do the group subs again for SGC. They might be cutting it out and then going to redo it because since Collectors owns them, I know with PSA they definitely changed everything. Back in the day when I used to do it, anyone could just do the subs. And then a few years ago, they if you wanted to do the group subs, that's when you had we get an email with like about a 40, 50 page legal document that you're supposed to read and sign like 27 places and stuff. So that's also could be a reason for the them cutting off the group subs. They might just not like the way it's being done right now for legal purposes. Not that SGC's volume for those are the same as PSA was back when they had their issues, but that is a possibility.
Right. That I never knew that, so that's nice to know. PSA will keep SGC, but they'll make them switch to a sky blue tuxedo, circa 1970. Yeah, with ruffles, pig grading. Yeah, we can do that too. Well, I am now going to end it. I appreciate everybody coming on tonight. A lot of rambling about me tonight, but I could do it too.
That's what happens when people like Ed leave you hanging for hours.
No, I kind of when I realized it was Father's Day weekend, because I asked Victor and he's like, "Yeah, it's Father's Day weekend," and I was like, "Oh shit, okay." Forgot all about it.
Should have had Pops on. You guys could have done a live show talking about Rafi Devers.
Yeah, he called me.
Something tells me you guys recorded a video before the biggest news of the
and he called me up. He was like, "I'm sitting here." He was watching the College World Series, and it came across the bottom. So he's like, "I'm watching the College World Series," and they didn't say what they got. I was like, "Well, I've been telling you that's why the Giants had a lot of space on their salary cap."
We got to get Pop's take on Rafael Devers.
I was working and I just kind of looked down and I saw like a text alert and I was like, I had to like double like look at it. I was like, wait, Devers. I'm like Rafael Devers. Like, holy sh!
Carlos makes a good point. Also, we should be clear: group subs aren't cut off. The discount for group subs is gone. There is.
You can still do them. It's just doesn't make sense unless it's just someone who doesn't feel like sending them themselves. Like
right. All right. Well, thank y'all, and thanks for everybody choosing me tonight. And hope all the fathers out there had a great day. And all you suckers get back to work tomorrow. You fathers, you had your one day. All right. See ya.
Peace.
See ya.